Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're breaking down our picks for the top 5 and one worst level 4 ranger spells.
You.
Yeah.
I got a bow. There we go.
So, how easy was this list for you?
It was rough. There were 8 total, and we're talking at least about 6.
I think we might talk about all 8 because
I'm
there are 2 spells I'm confident both of us have on the list. And do you know what they are offhand?
definitely.
Yeah, and after that, man, any of these could go on the rest of the list, or any of these could be the worst.
Yeah, and I'm not even that thrilled with my number 2, to be honest. It's just a worse version of my number 1, and the rest of it's just oh. So yeah.
All right. Well, caveats. Sam chooses his spells in order, best to worst, 1 to 5. I don't. I just pick the 5 that look best to me, and in any order. We got other ranger caveats.
These are small one. Rangers are known casters, so you get one learned spell at this level. You learn a new spell every other level, so you get one of these. You know which one to pick when we're finished with this, because the rest of them are not it. They're not anywhere close to it. The other thing to consider is Rangers are half casters. So while you're getting, your 4th level spells at 13th level, the full casters are getting 7th level spells. Rough. And they've been casting 4th level spells since 7th level. So they've been doing what you're getting for 6 levels. So that's not thrilling. And it does definitely make our bar a lot higher for spells that'll feel good to cast, spells that'll have a high impact in the game with other full casters. So that's all going to be some of the considerations you're going to want to think about whenever you're looking at these 8 spells.
Or looking at this one spell.
Yeah, probably.
All right. I guess we both know. Go ahead. What's your? We're doing number. Yeah, we should probably start top to bottom for this one because.
All right. It's
for
Conjure Woodland Beings. Number 1 is Conjure Woodland Beings. It's not particularly close. And if you're a DM out there with a ranger, let them get pixies once in a while. They deserve it. Conjure Woodland Beings is really busted. It's one of the most busted spells in the game because pixies come with full spell lists. We have a great Conjure Woodland Being video. It's very long. I recommend go watching that. It's all about the polymorph and everything else pixies can do in their 8 concentration slots. But even if you don't get pixies, picking 8 fake creatures here at 1/4 or lower, the list is really small and they're all really good. So you're gonna more or less always get 8 powerful allies by doing this. Honestly, as a 7th level spell, I don't hate it. As a 4th level spell, it's unreasonable. So as a ranger, it feels pretty fair for a 13th level kind of spell you're getting, assuming you don't have a druid that's been doing it for, since it was available.
All right. Like you said, we do have that video. Go watch it. If I remember, I'll link it here in the description, but I probably won't until it's the far future. And so then, yeah, it'll be whatever. Go watch the video. Let's move on.
Sure, we'll blitz right through the good one.
Yeah, I mean, that was. I say I don't rank mine, but yeah, that was definitely my first pick.
Yeah.
Second one, Summon Elemental.
Sure. Yep, that's absolutely number 2.
Surprise. No, the rest of these are number 2.
This is cute. So this gives you this is one of the new Tasha's Cauldron of Everything spells. This is the fair one. It's nice so that if you conjure Beast or Fae from Ranger earlier, you can upcast it to 4th level, and those will give you the extra attack. So at 4th level, summon spells get 2 attacks run instead of 1, and that's a huge upgrade. At 13th level, character won't feel that bad doing it. They get a little bit less HP than I'd like, compared to, again, the full casters that can do it as 6 levels, which get 3 attacks. So, it's worse. But still, getting 2 slams for a d10 plus 4 plus 4 damage, it's pretty solid. They come with, you can pick different modes between water, air, earth. They all do different things or have different damage resistances. Earth is resistant to piercing and slashing damage, making it pretty resilient. You got air that can fly around. Fire really, really sucks for some reason, and the rest of them are pretty solid. So don't pick fire, and then the rest will be great.
Yeah, it's a fine spell. The only problem is it's overshadowed by Conjure Woodland Beings.
Yeah, but I can definitely respect people that would go, I don't want to deal with Conjure Woodland Beings. That seems like a whole headache. I don't want to talk to my DM about this crap. I just want to take a spell that's cool and fun. And that was probably where Summon Elemental will land as the only 4th level spell option you get.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the summon spells versus the older conjure spells.
They're more digestible. They are less oppressive. Less groups have to have awkward conversations about how they work. They're I think they're far more digestible designs, even if they feel a little bit less magical to me than the conjure stuff does.
All right. Yeah, we've got a video on that too. Go
All right,
watch
time to get in the weeds.
it. Yeah. All right. Here's where the video gets, I don't know, interesting or
Different.
what is different? Because I had no idea where to go from here.
Yeah, same. I looked at the list and I was like, oh, oh, oh. Okay, so here, my next one. I think well, I don't know if this made our druid spells for 4th level. I don't think it did. I think it was in contention for the worst. Maybe it's Guardian of Nature. I think maybe it made one of our lists. So this is a bonus action concentration up to a minute that gives you either a primal beast or giant tree form, and it ends up just being really clunky on especially druids. On rangers, you can go Great Tree, and then you get 10 temp HP, advantage on Constitution saving throws, which does help you maintain concentration on it, and then you can get advantage on all your dex attacks. So that's kind of something. So like maybe you do this instead of Hunter's Mark, and then you get advantage on attack rolls instead of a d6 bonus damage. Now that's a 1st level spell versus a 4th level spell.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is better than Hunter's Mark. I think it's like eh. And that leaves it as this is pretty bad.
All right, because
Right.
I don't know if this made a list, but I know we did a video on it. But like, there's all right, it's got 2 modes, and it's
Yeah.
telling that you didn't even mention the primal beast mode.
It's trash.
Yeah.
It's a bonus d6 damage on hit, strength-based attack rolls with advantage. Both those things are fine. So like maybe you're a strength-based ranger that got to 13th level as a strength-based ranger, which means you're like doing great weapon master or something and kind of forgoing a lot of the typical ranger stuff, which is fine. So maybe this is like your top end fantasy, but it only lasts a minute and it goes down and you don't have a high dex, so your AC is not going to be that great. So you're going to be hit more often and lose concentration more often because you don't have the advantage on constitution saving throws, nor do you get the temp HP. So it's just kind of like, eh. I mean, you're faster. Maybe that's something. Is it something? Maybe?
Not enough of something for me to care about this.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's so many ways to give you what this gives you cheaper. Like we talked about Zephyr Strike. We've talked about Misty Step. I think is a lot better as far as mobility goes most of the time. I take Expeditious Retreat over this if I had that option, because if you're going for like speed upgrades, then if you're not going for speed upgrades, damage upgrades, there's way better options than this. You have Flame Arrows, which I don't love, but it's definitely better than this. You've got Hunter's Mark again, which is definitely better than this. Rangers have a base feature that takes concentration that has bonus damage on hit. I think that's better than this. So like, and this is my number 3.
It's just the only usable part. If the only usable part is you turn into a tree, then I'm skipping it.
Sure.
Like,
there also could be something to say for the scimitar dual wielder character using Great Tree to like root things around you too, or like difficult terrain things around you. So you like skirmishing around and kite things backwards and are like running around and making everything difficult terrain. And maybe that's something.
Yeah, I guess you really got to put in some effort to get use out of this, I think.
It's very niche builds, and you have to really know, like, oh, this is what I want for this build for this moment. And even that, I don't think it's that good. I think there's probably better opportunities.
Is it worth mentioning it's only a verbal spell component? So, like, if you're tied up in ropes, you can primal beast and werewolf yourself out of them. It
That's
doesn't
cute.
say anything like that, but I don't know. It's fun to think about.
It doesn't give you advantage on strength ability checks, just attack rolls.
No,
So that's a bummer.
yeah. All right.
So technically that doesn't work, but it's cute.
No, yeah. Maybe you just tear your clothes.
Sure. If you're like all in on the Beastmaster Ranger fantasy, like maybe you've got a specific like Thrall from World of Warcraft or something, or sorry, Rexar from World of Warcraft or Warcraft 3 or whatever, and you want to be like the ripped Beastmaster that's like one with the land and beast, and you're like more of a barbarian ranger multi-class kind of thing. Primal Beast, it fits your aesthetic. I don't love aesthetic being a compelling argument for taking this, but it's my number 3, so
yeah, it didn't make my list.
we're definitely talking about 7 at least then.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
I think it's not good.
I don't. Maybe it should have made my list above what I actually chose, but I'm certainly not going to lose any sleep over these.
Yeah, I doubt it. I don't think you're going to be worried about whatever you picked. I'm not confident in this pick either.
All right. My next one was Grasping Vine.
That's my number 5.
What? All right.
My number 4. Sorry, there are worse ones than this.
I didn't feel great about this one, but I could see it having. But I mean, this is also concentration, right?
Sure is.
I don't love that.
Got a 30-foot range.
Yeah, but the only way I see it being useful is in combination with other concentration spells, and you know that that takes another player to do now.
Maybe it's kind of like the setup where you bonus action to yoink something away from you, and then you shoot it, and like you just keep pulling things back from you. But that's so ineffective.
Yeah.
Like so ineffective. It does almost nothing if you're using it in that play pattern. Because you would just rather be going faster or using a bonus action to mark and do extra damage, or have your concentration on haste, or have your concentration on summon beast, or have your concentration on summon elemental, or have your concentration on conjure woodland beings, or have your concentration on 12 other better effects than this. Then a sometimes spell attack based pool in a fixed location. This seems awful to me. But I think it's their fourth best spell.
The only other thing I could think is like if you got your enemy is a melee dwarf, it's got heavy armor, dexterity is probably not going to be a priority,
And somehow
so
got on top of you.
got on top of you. What?
Yeah, so you couldn't pull them away from you.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking about keeping him in a relatively close space to where you want him, while you keep, bashing him with arrows or something, and he can't get away because his movement speed's too slow, and he keeps failing his dexterity saving throws. I don't know.
So
I'm,
that character
I'm reaching.
To knock it out of this, for context, that character needs either a speed of 10 or this needs to be on difficult terrain.
Yes.
So like,
Look, I'm doing my best here, Sam.
Maybe you're against the speed of. If it's the speed of 10 character, you can literally just walk away from it. Like, I don't.
Yeah, this is the list we're working with.
Sure is.
You got anything else to
the
say about
worst
grasping
fourth level
by?
spell?
Oh God, no, I don't know, because there are so many contenders.
Yeah, there's a lot of real stinkers here. My number 5 is Stone Skin. Let's just keep moving. Maybe this is better than Grasping Vine. It probably is better than Grasping Vine. I could see characters actually getting like 3 rounds out of this and not hating it. So yeah, I'm gonna retroactively move this up to number 3. We're displacing Grasping Vine and Guardian of Nature. I talked myself out of both those. So yeah, Stone Skin, it's an action to cast, and it gives you an hour concentration that gives you resistance to damage, but it's only non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage. So like, if you're a tank ranger and you have a high con, hypothetically, you're going to save out of it a decent amount of time because it's going to drop the save DC. So you need you really want to be getting like at least a +5 or +7, like somewhere in that range, to make sure this concentration stays up against lower instances of non-magical, specifically bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. And again, in that specific window, okay, maybe that's fine. Again, you're at 13th level, so like that instance of damage type is going steeply downhill. So the windows for this usability is dwindling, but there are windows of usability with it. And I don't know if I can say the same for the other 2 spells that we've talked about so far, so that are competing with it.
Yeah, this did not make my top 5 list for all the reasons you said. It's concentration. Magical damage is going to be a lot more frequent now, so it's not going to be as effective. So
it costs you 100 gold a pop.
Oh yeah, and the cost. I forgot about the cost.
Why does it cost 100 gold to use?
Yeah. What?
Who play tested this?
You're getting hit with magical damage, so it's not going to be effective, and you're going to lose your concentration.
Yeah, or just like non-weapon damage, just
right.
fire
like
damage,
breath weapons, fire. Yeah.
Like poison, acid, any of the other myriad of damage types. Just go, okay, Stone Skin just doesn't work against the majority of the damage type that's hitting me.
I just lost 100 gold pieces worth of diamond dust.
But it dropped the 12 on those 3 attacks that were doing a d6 +2 +2d6 fire damage. So hey, that's something, I guess.
All right.
Yeah. Is this better than Grasping Vine?
You see, like, all right, I gave it a wild effort. I came up short, but I don't think that I have exhausted all of the potential uses of Grasping Vine.
Maybe you stick it on the side of a wall off a cliff, and you like. That's pretty cute.
Yeah. Or I mean, I said you can use it in conjunction with somebody else who's putting down difficult terrain, or putting down what is it called? The
Spike growth.
spike growth. That's the one. Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. There's
Could be.
like stone skin. I mean,
Both made my list.
yeah. No, stone skin, especially for a ranger when you're getting it this late. Yeah, the later you get this, the worse it is.
Definitely. And the getting it at like next level, we're gonna get a concentration spell that you really want to be concentrating on for the majority of ranger builds, and the majority of ranger builds aren't melee ranger builds. And this only goes on high con melee ranger builds sometimes. So like that's not a great place to be for a spell.
Well, unless you're in a strictly arrow fight.
Sure.
Could be good.
Assuming you still have a high con because you do not want this to drop. Like you want to leave. Our rangers, they're not even proficient in con saves. So they're getting like whatever your con mod is, that is what you're saving against. And the DC is a flat at least 10. So 50% of the time, if you've got like a +1 or +2, it's slightly less than 50% of the time you're losing concentration from any instance of damage. Any. That's not good. That's not where I want my ranger spells to be.
If this did something to keep you from getting hit rather than, giving you resistance to the damage, might be more to talk about. But
we talked about it a lot for what that's worth.
What's that?
We have talked about it a lot for what that's worth.
Well, yeah, but talk about how shitty it is. That's
true.
That's not what I meant. All right. Well,
maybe they're really big arrows. They're like ballista shots. So every instance of damage is breaking like 30 damage, and then your concentration's definitely done for. Yes. But it saved you like 40 hit points. Anyway, all right. Those are my 5. What else do you got?
Oh, are you done with your 5 already?
Sure am.
What do I have?
There are only 8 of these.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. I've got. And I know you're not a fan of this one. I've got freedom of movement.
I really thought I was going to put that as my worst.
I thought you might too, but no, I know what you put as your worst.
Yeah, I'm glad we both landed on that.
Else. No, we didn't. I intentionally chose something else because I knew you were going to put that.
What have we talked about? Oh, that we haven't talked about that one either. Okay, good. Yeah. All right, sure.
So freedom of movement, I chose. Yeah, generally not amazing, but it does last an hour. Doesn't take concentration. And
yeah, those are 2 big perks.
If you know you're going into some difficult terrain, or you might get if there's this guy that's casting hold person all the time, then like, not this time, buddy.
I think you like really want to be in a group that's weaponizing this already. So like if you're already working with spike growths, if you're already working with plant growths, then I think this gets a little bit more interesting. You could be the one to set up either of those, right? You could be the one to set up the plant growth, you could be the one to set up the entangle, and then it's kind of interesting as a one-sided parity thing. In that instance, you really want to be a non-ranged character, because ranged characters don't really give a crap, because they can get where they need to get, and they just stay in line and just pop off arrows for the whole encounter. So that makes this like very much restricted to melee rangers. Is it good there? Again, against maybe the whole person wizard, it's fine. Is this better than my other 2 options? I don't think so. I still think I've never seen the spell cast. I don't ever expect that I'll see the spell cast. But it doesn't take concentration. That probably bumps it up over Grasping Vine, I'd guess. Maybe over Guardian of Nature? Do you cast this over Guardian of Nature ever? Probably not.
I probably do. But again, and another nice benefit of it is that you only use it when you know you're going to need to. So then, you don't feel bad about having it, I guess. I don't know. I
mean, you have to learn this. You can't ever just prepare this. This is something that you have to devote a spell that you're going to be regularly using to it. That's one of the ranger caveats that are important as to talking about why this spell
came to mind
blows.
In the middle of that sentence I was saying.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, with this list, I feel comfortable having it on there. It has uses.
What is the material component a leather strap bound around the armor similar in a pendant a reference to? I can only think of drug use whenever I read the material components for this.
Well, I was thinking more of a restraining instrument, which is kind of the opposite of what this does.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure, weird material components. Commenters, if you can explain it to me, that'd be great. Or why you like freedom of movement. and have cast it before, because I haven't.
I think people have commented that they like it. Well, we'll find out. Comment. Let us know. All right, and the last on my list is Dominate Beast.
But that made your list still.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
bummer.
Because this list, I mean, we've talked about Dominate Beast. Yeah, as you get to this level, especially again for Rangers, you're going to be facing less and less beasts, or fewer and fewer beasts. And but you know, if you find a Tyrannosaurus, sweet.
Like we were trying to talk about, like, yeah, 7th level is kind of eclipsing whenever we're seeing beasts get used. 13th level?
Yeah.
Are you ever seeing a beast for the rest of the campaign? Probably.
I don't know.
If it ever gets cast, it's better than every other spell we've talked about outside of Conjure Woodland Beings and Summon Elemental. I'll give you that. If you're ever using this on a, when I not say cast, if you're casting this on a high
if you're
CR
using
monster,
it on a cow, probably not.
Yes, if it's like on a giant ape or a T-Rex or an Ankylosaurus or a Triceratops, it's better than everything after Summon Elemental. I just don't think that happens at 85+% of tables. I think that the couple that run dinosaurs will see a little bit of use out of it. Like, again, if you're in the jungles of Chult, if you're doing like a Land Before Time adventure, that sounds like a really wacky time, but maybe that's what you're in. Maybe you're doing a big dinosaur themed adventure. Sure. Maybe you're going into like a Yuan-Ti super high level villain where you're dealing with giant evil snakes. Okay, sure. But most of those aren't even codified as beasts. Most of those are going to be like
not the evil ones, at least.
Yeah, the ones worth dominating aren't going to qualify. So you're like, But yeah, maybe you're in the one instance where it's good. If you're in the one campaign setting it's good, it's definitely better than I think every other bad spell we've talked about. If most tables will have no window to ever be able to cast this. That's why it ultimately isn't that good.
I struggled choosing these last three.
So
and I specifically did not choose your worst because I knew you were choosing it. I took a gamble. I picked Stone Skin for my worst for the reasons I said before. But we've already talked about that. So, Sam.
The actual worst Ranger spell
all right.
is Locate Creature. Locate Creature is horrendous. There are a few spells that are this bad. So it takes an action to cast. It requires a bit of fur from a bloodhound, which is just rude. You got it. I guess if it just is shedding a lot, but still. Concentration up to an hour. You describe the name of a creature. You sense the direction of the creature as long as it's within 1,000 feet of
you. Yeah. I was thinking about what we were just talking about with Dominate Beast. If there's a T-Rex within 1,000 feet of you, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the kind of spell where, like, we talk about this with Find Traps a lot, where this is only going to have text if you already like fulfilled the conditions in thinking to use it. So if you are like, I'm gonna use Locate Creature to find a person, you have to already know that person is near you to use this. So 1,000 feet is like 3 blocks, if that, right? It's slightly lower than 3 blocks total in distance. So you have to know they are readily around you for this to do something. And then you know vaguely the direction that it's moving and the direction towards it in the best case scenario. Assuming someone isn't running a bath between you and them. Assuming it's not raining outside and that there's a trickle of water in the street. Assuming that you can like actually use this spell in the environments that you'd want to use it in. This spell is close to uncastable. It is horrendously bad. You will be better asking around if you've seen this person than using this, or better yet, just looking around to try and find the person. Just like
only 1,000 feet away.
Yeah, this spell is horrendously bad. It takes concentration for no good reason. It's awful.
It is baffling the amount of restrictions they put on this.
Yep.
Because I mean, it could be decent if
it didn't say within 1,000 feet of you, we have a real spell.
75% of the text.
Yeah. If it didn't get obscured by running water and it didn't have the 1,000-foot limitation, we'd have a real spell in our hands.
Yeah.
But
that's not the world we live in.
That's true. At least the running water feels magical to me. I like those kinds of little hiccups and spells, but like you can't also gate this that heavily. Like this could just be a compass to a person. And I think that's entirely reasonable for a 4th level spell, especially as a 13th level character, right?
Well, that's
I haven't even mentioned that you have to be familiar with the creature. You have to like already know the thing that you're trying to find. So if someone's like, "Hey, seek out this cryptic merchant," and you go, "Well, I guess we'll try and locate them." You're not familiar with the cryptic merchant. You just heard their name once, so this can't work for that.
Well, doesn't it? I mean, that's one. Can't you also use it to say, I want a chinchilla and hope there's one in the
Yes.
area? Okay.
Yeah, human or unicorn, as long as you've seen such a creature up close, you have to be within 30 feet of it, and then it will slowly point you to the creature type listed, but it doesn't necessarily specify the creature you want. So this might be like, I'm looking for any deer. This
Right.
finds you any deer within 1,000 feet of you, which
Yeah.
isn't useful. Any tiefling within 1,000 feet of you isn't usually that useful. You can typically
If you're hungry,
point them
maybe.
out. If they're disguised, this doesn't work.
Well,
It
how
literally
many
has a
deer
line
do
of
you know that are
text.
disguised?
But you can see them if you're finding deer within 1,000 feet of you, Bob.
All right, that's going back to the T-Rex. Yes. Any useful animal you'd want to find with this is going to be farther than 1,000 feet of you, or else you would just see them. I want to use my dominate beast on a T-Rex, but I need to find one first. I hope there's one within 1,000 feet that's
Maybe this is
hiding.
like what I could hypothetically see you doing is you go, okay, it lasts an hour. I locate creature. I'm just gonna sprint as far as I can through this city, or I'm gonna get on my steed. I'm gonna crank it up with the Expedition Street along Strider, and I'm just gonna have it book it across the city, and we're gonna sweep the city like methodically with this on to find that one creature. Then maybe we have a spell on our hands that's useful for something. But again, you also have to be familiar with the creature, and it can't be polymorphed or disguised. So,
All right, you saved it a little bit there. Not much. But yeah.
if you're willing to cast 6 other spells and have access to another feature, this can become usable.
You really need to find this guy.
Yeah, sure. Locate creatures
but-
utter trash.
Yeah, all right. It was deserving of the worst spot.
Listen, you could convince me that Grasping Vine or Dominate Beast or Guardian of Nature or Stone Skin or Freedom of Movement are all also deserving of this spot. So
yeah, I had it was tough to make a decision, and the only reason I landed on Stone Skin is because I knew you were going to choose locate creature.
yeah, and Stone Skin is really bad.
All right.
Yeah, Ranger got really utterly roasted in the 4th level spell department. Like they got nothing. Pick some elemental.
I think
That's the one you get.
I think we've covered most of these spells in individual videos. So
Nice,
go
that
back
means
and
every
watch
single
those.
one could be linked below in the description for you to watch as well.
Eventually, they will be.
Lovely.
All
Next week
right.
we get to do 5th level spells, so stay
Oh,
tuned
we're
for
gonna
that.
close
We can
out
talk
the
about actual
Ranger.
some interesting ones.
All right, these were interesting. I had
Sure
a
were.
nice conversation. It's
Yeah, this
just
was
terrible.
Yeah, real bad. I like talking about bad spells. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. All right. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think of our list. Let us know your own list, and if you have any opinions that are different than ours. Do you love locate creature and grasping vine? Let us know.
Who are you? Let's talk.
All right. Thank you, and go hit all the buttons, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.